In our neck of the woods, sports is tradition. Sports is passion. Sports is family. Sports is fun. Welcome to our house. This is Southeast Sports Plus Live with Simone Eli and Gerhard Mathangani.
The biggest story today, Michigan is, in some ways, at least financially, going to have the hammer dropped by the NCAA.
The NCAA has been in a whole lot of hot water for the longest time, and I think a lot of it was based on just their governance. Well, today they're showing, okay, we're going to govern the sport the way that we want to and impose some different punishments than we've seen before in the past.
Yeah, and as we know, because money is running the show right now, that is kind of the biggest thing is, can we hurt Michigan at their wallet? Because quite frankly, right now, money is equals success. That's why Michigan has national title. That's why they had the success that they did. They were able to obviously buy a lot of guys. You know, we saw NIL kind of take form. However, Connor Stallions, sign stealing. There's a Netflix series on this already, guys. Like, we're already mocking the NCAA and the I guess any sort of honesty in sport by having a Netflix series. It was a great Netflix series, by the way. I'm not hating on that.
Right.
The fact that it's just it's there is kind of funny in its own right. But guys, let's take a look at what it is that we are looking at when it comes to what Michigan did and what some of these findings include and what the punishments are going to be by the NCAA. As we know, the Michigan Wolverines won a national title a couple of years ago. It starts to come out that a guy named Connor Stallions, who I think was first spotted on the sidelines at Central Michigan.
That's right.
I think there's a picture, and everyone's like, what? There's no way this is this guy. And here are some of the findings that has come out since the NCAA's investigation began a couple of years ago. Get this, G. A network of people were used in this sign-stealing scandal, and this network of people included some student athletes, by the way. It included former staff members, current interns, and former interns, and their buddies, and some of Connor's friends.
It's insane just how deep this network ran and how kind of organized this operation was.
Yes, I mean, it is kind of crazy. 13 opponents over 56 times. This guy was buying low-level tickets to games.
Yeah.
And so he could get a clear shot of the sidelines. It was filmed with burner phones that he was giving these people. And then he went on to destroy his phone by throwing it in the bottom of the pond when the NCAA handed down, or at least when things broke there on Yahoo Sports. And then he kind of said, oh, crap, I better go get rid of all this stuff. And now we're here.
The KGB, as they were called. For those that don't know, the KGB is basically like the Russian equivalent of the CIA. It's an intelligence community that just picks up all kinds of data, and they were able to pick it up through burner phones and everything else, and it was well organized, obviously. And everybody says, hey, there's sign stealing everywhere. You talk about it in baseball and whatnot. There was nothing like this going on, and they ended up getting caught.
Yeah, and so I want to bring in our guests. Before we really just jump into what the NCAA has handed down, Patrick, I'd like to bring in our friend Ian Kress, joining us from Lansing. Ian, when you hear that, we knew that there was going to be a lot of interesting things come out of this. Some we've already known. You watched the Netflix series. Of course, it seems as though Connor Stallions is gloating. He's still doing that on social media today. Your initial reaction, of course, to the findings before we really break things down in terms of the NCAA punishments.
Yeah, I think there was no real surprise as to the findings. I think everyone knew basically what was going on. You brought up the Central Michigan case, Connor Stallions on the sideline at Michigan State's game against Central Michigan. And that a lot of ties to Central Michigan with the Michigan football program. Sharon Moore used to be a coach there, so somehow Connor Stallions was able to get on the sideline of Spartan Stadium for Central Michigan and, in a way, scout Michigan State from afar. And it really, not so much of a surprise. It's something we've been talking about since October of 2023. It's, really when you look at it, too, Michigan, they get caught in October of 2023, and then Connor Stallions gets let go. Jim Harbaugh gets suspended, and they still go on to win all these games, even after the fact that they're technically not allowed to steal signs. So it's kind of like Michigan fans will often say, like, well, we didn't have the signs at that point. We still were able to beat Ohio State. We beat Penn State on the road, beat Alabama, and then obviously beat Washington to win the national championship. So I think there's an argument there of, like, how much of the sign stealing really played a factor. And I think maybe ultimately that played a factor in what came out today.
Yeah, and what comes out today? Let's take a look at that. The NCAA hands down their punishments, their what it is that Michigan is going to face. The 4-year probation, somewhat notable. The financial penalty to me, Ian, seems as though the biggest situation here. There's a bunch of different specifics as to what was actually there, but people are estimating that it will cost Michigan $20 to $30 million for what has occurred and what has taken place. If you add up all of the different, infractions and different things that they've handed down, I have some of these pulling. I'm going to pull up here in a moment. And there's, $50,000 fine plus 10% of the budget of the football program, a fine equivalent to the anticipated loss of all postseason revenue sharing, equivalent to the cost of 10% of scholarships awarded to Michigan football program. And so you add all those up, we're looking at 20 to 30 million of recruiting probation. This is a short time. What do you think about what's been handed down by the NCAA when it comes to, these punishments that came out today?
Yeah, we'll start with the financial situation. Obviously, $30 million is a lot in today's day and age with revenue sharing becoming such a big thing and paying players. Michigan allegedly just paid a freshman quarterback $10 million to basically flip from LSU to come to Michigan. So they're already paying a lot of money to one player. And now that when you look at the fines of losing potentially $30 million, that's probably going to hurt them. I mean, Michigan is a big enough university to where they'll be able to make plenty of revenue to be able to pay their players and get still the top guys in the country. I think the interesting note is, like, you look at what didn't happen with today. They don't have to vacate any of the games that they had won, and there really is no postseason ban coming forward. So I think what came out today was in a way expected. They get some money they got to give up, and then essentially the show cause for Harbaugh, for Stallions, Sharon Moore getting suspended. Really, it was just one added game that he got suspended. He got suspended by Michigan back in May for 2 games this upcoming season, and the NCAA basically just added on another game for him, which will be in 2026. So it's kind of weird how they split up the suspensions, but it's kind of what was expected. The no punishment for a postseason ban or vacating victories is kind of the one thing that's like kind of shocking in a way, but I think what came out today is not too shocking.
Yeah, you touched on, Ian, 2 things beautifully that I want to marry together. The fact that they were able to get guys like Bryce Underwood in-house for $10 million, as you said, and no postseason ban. So it makes it look like Michigan moving forward, they will not have any problems recruiting because everything that they promised, whether it's financial or otherwise, and a national championship and a shot at a national championship, all of that still seems available in 26, 27, and beyond.
Oh, yeah, nothing basically happened, I guess, going forward. They lose a few dollars, which, like I said, they're going to make that up pretty quickly. I mean, it's the University of Michigan, one of the biggest brands in all of college football, really college athletics. So, that almost feels like a slap on a wrist, for some people. But, I think they're still going to be fine. They're still going to be a very powerful program in college football and the Big Ten, obviously. But, I think that's something that's interesting that, they're going to be able to continue to get guys like Bryce Underwood. I'm not sure exactly how the financial situation will work in terms of, will they be able to offer another player, $10 million to come to Ann Arbor? I don't think that, but, who knows at this point.
And a lot of that has to do with, of course, that the House settlement that came down, $20.5 million of what school can pay players. That's from the school to players. But until or if ever we see the donor money and what that all entails, unless that changes, really the sky is the limit when it comes to how much money these schools can really offer players because of all of these collectives and things that are taking place. There's really no limitation on that at the current.
No, and especially at a school like Michigan where, they have some of the wealthiest alumni there is. Obviously, I think, Dave Portnoy of Barstool is a big part in.
I mean, he bought the quarterback. Single-handedly, did he not? Yeah.
Him and a few other, billionaires were able to get Underwood to come to Michigan. So I think Michigan will be fine in that way. They'll still be able to pay players a good amount of money, and then you throw on the revenue sharing on top of that. They should probably be just fine in that case.
So in addition to those, obviously the money, some recruiting things, show cause penalties coming down for 3 coaches, some more, important than others. Jim Harbaugh's never come back to college football. We kind of knew that when he left initially. Hey, there's a reason the guy was going to get going because 10 years on the show cause penalty makes him not exactly the most attractive hire anytime soon. Sharon Moore, 2-year show cause, but he's sitting dandy in Ann Arbor, and he's going to get a slap on the wrist for 3-game suspension that he pretty much picks and chooses which one he's going to be there for. And then Connor Stallions, 8 years, man. He working somewhere, though. He's staying employed.
Oh, yeah.
Someone's got him working. Maybe in Columbus. I'm not sure, but he's doing something somewhere. Maybe in Lansing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, maybe. But yeah, the interesting thing, you mentioned the Sharon Moore suspension, how they pick and choose. Michigan plays Oklahoma in week 2, and that's where Sharon Moore went to school and played football.
Yeah.
But they decided to suspend him for week 3 and 4. This year. That's what Michigan decided to do back in May. And so it's like,
Michigan decided, or whoever the TV contract is with decided, hey, listen, we cannot have this storyline to be able to broadcast this game, my guy. Like, we got to have this guy there for week 2.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't care about the Central Michigan game and Nebraska. Okay, that's a big issue.
Yeah, give them those.
Yeah,
that's it.
Ian, I want to ask you. It's more esoteric. It's more not tangible. You almost have to just vibe it out with the fans. This is now the second major. You think about the Fab Five incident in basketball, men's basketball, and now this one. Do the fans? This might be a yes or no question. Do the fans even care what the national reputation is of this specific incident, and in light of things like the Fab Four, or is it kind of like, hey, everybody did it, we got caught, so what? And I know all this just landed as far as the punishments go, but I'm interested to see how Wolverine fans think about the way that other people think about them.
Yeah, I mean, based on the social media I have on my feed, it's a lot of Michigan State, Ohio State, Michigan fans always butting heads. Mm-hmm. A lot of times Michigan people like to think like, oh, Michigan fans are very arrogant. They're very full of themselves. And, when you do what they did a few years ago, going undefeeted, winning a national championship, they're going to tell you, who cares? We cheated. So what? We won a national championship. We still went to Spartan Stadium and won 49-0. We still have beaten Ohio State 4 years in a row. You know what? Who cares? We won. And ultimately, sometimes that's all people care about is whether or not you win or lose. And
a lot of times
at this point, I think that's something that Michigan fans are right now. They're laughing at everyone else, especially Ohio State, Michigan State fans, and be like, you guys said this big hammer was going to drop on us and basically we'd be suspended from the college football playoff for like 10 years. And
here we are.
We can go next year.
And in a way, that's kind of true. I mean, the thought is like, hey, okay, they kind of get away with what I would consider a relatively egregious cheating situation. Okay, I mean, of course, like you think about the bag man in the SEC back in the day, and they're paying players. Well, look at it now. At any time, is sign stealing something that's going to be more accepted? And I don't mean, hey, you go scout games. Like we had a situation in high school football here last year where a coach got suspended because he was taping people from the sideline in a Connor Stallions type of move, and it was a big deal. So it seems as though there are different levels of cheating, and that if there's situations like that are taking place, is maybe a little bit different than the other types of cheating, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know if anyone will try this again, considering what has happened. I mean, I'm sure some smaller schools would be like, I don't want to deal with that type of fine and just that hassle. I mean, this is something we've been talking about for almost 2 years now.
Sure.
And it's like, all right, finally it's done. Hopefully this is it. But I think for a lot of programs, they might still find ways to get to another stadium and maybe scout a little bit, not to that extent. But it'll be interesting to see what the fallout is of this with other programs. I don't think you're going to see someone like Connor Stallions on another team's sideline at another stadium scouting a future opponent.
Maybe with a fake mustache.
Yeah, I think that was a unique situation. It's funny because I was at that Michigan State Central game, and obviously I had no idea.
You should have been scouting these guys. I mean, you should have seen that. You should have known.
I should have been a little sus of them. But it was.
Speaking of which, how did this remind me, and I guess viewers as well, like how did this all start to filter out from the very beginning? Once again, I mean, I feel like I have a 3-year-old, so my memory in the last 3 years has really just gone to it's not good. Well, how did this start to really unravel again? Just back during that national championship year, because this was going on for 3 years by Connor Stallions. And so, I mean, we're talking 3 years, 56 games or 52 games, something ridiculous like that, 56 different times, and 13 opponents. I mean, at some point, was the suspicion there for a minute, and how did it all come about?
Yeah, I mean, basically, Michigan, obviously a very historic program. They were down for a lot of years. And then ultimately in 2021, when all this, technically started, Michigan became like a powerhouse in the Big Ten. So there might have been someone who was a little suspicious of what was going on because, they were winning very consistently. The first half was a close game. And then in the second half, they would pull away from teams. It was like that for almost all of their games one season. So maybe someone looked into that. And then in October of 2023, it came out that this was something that was happening. And it led to Jim Harbaugh being suspended for 3 games at the end of that regular season. And as time has gone on, people have gone back and found Connor Stallions on the sideline of games. I saw a shot of a clip of him on the sidelines for Michigan at Ohio State. And you could just see the way he was looking at the sideline, telling Michigan staff what could potentially be coming. They would tell the players, and they would adjust to like what that play was going to be coming for Ohio State. And then I think with the game at Michigan State and him being on Central Michigan's sideline, I think someone probably just was like curious, went back and tried to look and found a clip of him on the broadcast and was like, that guy looks like Connor Stallion. I think that may be him, and more people dug into it. And I think a lot of Michigan State fans. Yeah. But yeah, I think a lot of Michigan State fans right now are also hoping maybe Central Michigan would own up to something like this of like, how do you let this guy get on the sideline of another opponent, basically?
Yeah, Ian, to me, as a New England Patriots fan, this is going to be hard to say, but I can't help but make some parallels to some things that happened in New England. Illegal spying of Bill Belichick doing this with the New York Jets, I believe. And then in Tom Brady's investigation, he destroyed his phone. And apparently there was a phone on the bottom of the river in this case as well. As it relates to the investigation itself, what were parts of it that were interesting to you and just the way that all of this was uncovered?
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, the length of it was interesting. I mean, the way it took just so much time when, we kind of knew everything that was going on. And I think that was something that even became frustrating for Michigan. And I think even for the Big Ten. I remember at Big Ten Media Days, the commissioner talked about that, how like they would hope that this would like have come out and something would have happened a lot sooner. And so the investigation piece, I think just the length of it has been interesting, and the way like Harbaugh is already now in his second year with the Chargers, and this is
everyone's
finally
moved on.
coming out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's totally moved on. I mean, this was the whole point. He knew like, okay, eventually something's going to happen. I got to move on. But yeah, I just think the length of it has been interesting. And like, I think for a lot of people, they kind of knew, like they knew that this had happened. They knew that there was nothing new that we uncovered today or within the last couple of months. Like this is something that happened from, 2021 to 2023. And so it's almost like what took so long to figure out like what was going on here.
Yeah, and it's interesting just to see the timeline of how things have taken place that we're 2 years removed. I mean, my goodness, Ohio State has won a state championship or a national championship since then. I mean, there's so many things that have happened. Life has continued to happen. Like you mentioned, Jim Harbaugh's on the West Coast, never coming back to college football, and he's fine and dandy out there. How much involvement do you think, personal opinion or things that you've heard or know, or maybe there's more information that's out there than what I've realized, of Jim Harbaugh's involvement in the orchestrating, in the pre-planning of this with Connor Stallions? Because if you watch the Netflix, series, there's part of it is like, hey, this guy's a super fan who also is like a savant at Excel spreadsheets, and then it marries up with like a guy who then becomes this incredibly network, guy who can just do all these things and help a team win a national title.
Yeah, I think based on what came out today, it seems like Harbaugh didn't know a whole lot. But I do find that interesting because, like, as the head coach of a program, you ultimately are responsible for, like, what happens in your program, who's on your staff.
But the guy's on the sidelines, though. I'm just telling you, I'm married to a coach, and my husband would know if like a cheerleader saw to play. He knows everything. He knows, like, where's your coach supposed to stand. There's 14 guys on the mat. Like how many people are allowed to be on the field? Okay, this is college football. This is Jim Harbaugh. The guy's coached at the highest level. He's won at the highest level. You mean to tell me that Connor Stallions is there talking to one of his assistants who was doing plays or calling plays, and he doesn't know what's going on?
Yeah, no, I definitely think he had some idea as to what was going on. I don't know.
It was like a turn a blind eye type thing?
Yeah, and that's the type of person, my opinion that, based on being at press conferences, Harbaugh is, he's kind of, he's that typical Michigan arrogance, I guess, in a way, if that makes sense. He's just kind of like, he's never going to like look you in the eye and tell you the truth and what it is. He'll maybe lie, or he'll basically just kind of blow it off in a way, work around the question and say something that he wants to say and maybe dictate it to something totally different.
Sure.
So yeah, I do think ultimately he did play a part in knowing what was going on. As the head coach, you're supposed to know everything, and he can say he didn't. Maybe he didn't know the extent of what was happening, but ultimately, as the head coach, that is your responsibility. And so I think ultimately that makes sense why he got a 10-year show cause out of this.
Absolutely. Staying with Harbaugh, I'm interested in your take on the future as we roll this forward. Harbaugh's a Michigan guy. He played there, won a national championship. Let's just say he goes to the NFL and he wins a Super Bowl and becomes one of those few coaches that have done both, a guy like Jimmy Johnson and others that have done it. What do you think his legacy will be moving forward? Big picture and at Michigan?
That's a good question. I mean, he definitely, I think, has skills to be a very good coach. You know, he had success in the NFL with the 49ers. Obviously, cheating or not, led Michigan to a national championship. You know, you're looking at J.J. McCarthy. He was a five-star quarterback who was going to start in the NFL. So the talent was there for Michigan, even when, you know, they were technically cheating. You know, they had really great players. They had a good running back in Blake Corum. They had an amazing defense. Plenty of guys that are in the NFL right now. So I think he definitely knows how to build a program. You know, I think Michigan was in such a bad place before he got there, and you could see even before the cheating that they were making major improvements. They just couldn't get over that hump of beating Ohio State.
Yeah.
For a while, I think it was 8 years or something like that, 7. That was his legacy at Michigan. He could not beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
And he even struggled with Michigan State. So, like, those are his two rivals. He struggled. They couldn't get to the college football playoff because of those two games. And, you know, if he's able to go and lead the Chargers to a Super Bowl, I think people would view him differently, just because, you know, doing that is something that not many coaches can say they did, win a national championship and a Super Bowl. And whether or not he cheated in college, being able to still win a Super Bowl in the NFL, I think that would create a legacy in itself right there. But
Sure.
I think he would be more so known probably for the cheating, even if he does win a Super Bowl, which is kind of ironic.
It seems like it was forever ago that Michigan beat Alabama in the ReliaQuest Bowl. That seems like a very, very long ago time at this point. Their next SEC opponent, of course, like you mentioned a minute ago, is going to be that Week 2 game in Norman against Oklahoma. Ian, what is the vibe right now of this Michigan team? Sanctions aside, or whatever you want to sanction, whatever you call those. I mean, the slap on the wrist aside.
Right.
If we focus on what this team looks like going into this season, how will the Michigan Wolverines stack up in the Big Ten, and then also with the one SEC opponent there in Week 2?
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of an interesting team right now. I mean, they're going to have a good defense. They have some solid running backs. I believe they got a transfer from Alabama, and Justice Hayes, I believe is his name.
Yep.
But I think the big question right now is who's going to be at quarterback for them. I mean, a lot of people, obviously, you would assume it would be the freshman, Bryce Underwood, considering the amount of money he's making. But I think no matter how good you are, a true freshman playing quarterback is always going to be a struggle and a challenge in itself. And so I think that first game against New Mexico will be a sign as to where he is. But going on the road to Oklahoma at night, that'll be a hostile environment. Certainly something Bryce Underwood has never been up against. So I think they're going to have their struggles. I can still see them winning close to double-digit games, but I do think there's going to be some ups and downs with this team. I mean, they were 7-5 last year, so they weren't like an amazing program then. And so I do think you could see Michigan have some really good wins, but you could also see them have some losses because of the fact that they have a true freshman quarterback.
Yeah, really, really good point. It's always easy to pick the guy who's returning and then shifts to the freshman than it is to, you know, go with the freshman, might have some early lumps and then try to go back. Like you mentioned, Justice Haynes is over there in Michigan. I kind of forgot about that. There's so many things that happen in the transfer portal that you can't keep up with it, and then you start rolling it out and you're like, hey, that guy was wearing a different jersey last year and the year before that as well. Justice Haynes, he was also there at Oklahoma, or played against Oklahoma in Norman last year. Definitely a game that Alabama fans want to forget. That was a 24-3 loss. One that was not good for the offense, no question about that. But was a guy who was a big contributor for Alabama last year. Carried the ball almost 80 times, almost 500 yards on the ground, several touchdowns as well. And so also, you know, was a little bit of a pass catcher too. So a guy who could certainly make a difference for Michigan. And we will see. We'll see who's throwing the ball or handing the ball. Certainly interesting, Ian.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they lost some good running backs from last year, Donovan Edwards being the big name. They're, you know, both gone, and so they needed to replace that position. And if you have a good running game, you know, I think that can do a lot to take the pressure off of a young quarterback.
Yeah, if I was prepared, I would have had that Donovan Edwards interview that we did at the Senior Bowl last year, because he was on one about that Ohio State game, man. I'm just telling you. He did not care who had the national championship trophy, because at the end of the day, they won that game and nothing else mattered.
Oh yeah, 4-0 against them, 4-0 against them.
Quite frankly, he reminded us of that there on the field.
Everybody at Senior Bowl practice, it was a great moment.
Yeah, it really was. You got to give him credit. Ian Kress, man, we appreciate you holding it down there in Big Ten country for us in Lansing, Michigan. I know you do great work, not only Michigan but Michigan State as well, and so appreciate it, man. Looking forward to having you on as we gear up for that Oklahoma game, and thanks for your input here on the NCAA slap on the wrist to the Wolverines.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Ian.
Good stuff. Ian Kress joining us. Man, it's always fun to meet with not only our friends in Next Star Nation, but also people from other conferences, because you kind of get a look at what's the temperature, of things going on, in the Big Ten,
right,
or the Pac-2, or other things. The
on this Pac-2 thing for the better part of 16 hours.
Honestly, part of it is because I didn't realize that they're only down to 2, and they have to play. They have to
it's
play a
next
home and
year.
home
Yeah,
in the most high school football, actually high school basketball area play type thing I've ever heard of in my entire life.
I think a lot of people haven't really caught on to the fact that the addition to the Pac-12, Pac-2 begins next year. Man. So this year is kind of a wonky schedule.
Yeah, it really, really is. All right, good stuff there from Ian Kress. We're going to hit a quick break, guys. Plenty more to come, including what is going on over there with the Oklahoma Sooners. We're going to check in with our friends in Oklahoma City, get the latest on the quarterback situation. Was there some going on? Was there not? We'll have the latest on that and coming up about 3 minutes. Welcome back into Southeast Sports Plus. Simone, Patrick, Gerhard joining you from our studio here in Mobile. Great first segment. I had a chance to speak with Ian Kress up there in Lansing about the drama going on with Michigan today, or at least Wolverines don't feel like it's drama. And maybe a little bit of drama over there in Norman as well. We're going to bring in legendary sports anchor Brian Brinkley. Has been there in Oklahoma City for more than 30 years. Brian, welcome into Southeast Sports Plus. How you doing this afternoon, sir?
I'm doing good. Great to be here.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We've been chatting with your guy Holden the last couple of days about what's going on there in Oklahoma. The Sooners entering year 2 in the SEC. So a lot of excitement there, a lot of hope, I know, for Brent Venables and company. Let's talk first, though, about John Mateer, the situation with the OU quarterback. Holden said, nobody cares and none of this matters. Is that accurate? And is this something that we should be worried about for the Sooners right now?
I don't know. This is one of those things that 30 years ago is not even a thing.
Yeah,
You know, if he's betting with his friends, he gives them a $100 bill, and everybody moves on with life.
Yes,
so I don't know what to make of it. My suspicion is this is nothing. I don't know why anyone would put sports gambling on a Venmo transaction.
That seems like a lot. That was kind of a lot of detail.
So, and I don't know who's looking up other people's Venmo transactions. That's a whole nother story. But I think what John said's probably accurate, but you gotta watch everything you post these days. And Brent Venables just spoke about it an hour ago, and Holden just got back. I haven't had a chance to see what Brent said about it, if anything. OU is definitely taking it very seriously. They say that there's no pending NCAA investigation that they know of. So at the moment, it seems like this is all innocent, but you never know with college sports these days.
Yeah, and honestly, it's becoming more and more, I guess, trendy or popular for folks to dig into, people's
For sure.
former tweets, Venmo transactions.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people, if you can believe it, Brian, that have nothing better to do with their time than things of that nature. So it's a little bit surprising. And, I think that I have to agree with you. After everything that's kind of come out about this, it does seem like, and Gerhard and I alluded to this on the show previously, that, hey, this is a guy that was, doing, like a friendly wager with buddies. We're not sitting here talking about, betting on games that he's, participating in
Right.
or change, point shaving and things of that nature.
Yeah. And my other thing about this is sports gambling is becoming so much more acceptable, for lack of a better word,
No
that
doubt.
this is a little disingenuous to me. Not the NCAA, as far as we know, isn't investigating, but if they did, it's a little disingenuous in a way, because obviously you don't want a quarterback betting on his own team's games or throwing a game or something, but like John Mateer can't bet on a Lakers game or something. I mean,
Right.
what,
Yeah. It
I
appears-
know it's just the NCAA rules are just another NCAA sport, but it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it appears that the
lines are very fuzzy here.
yes, and it appears that the line from Brent Venables just a moment ago, like I said, this just happened in real time. So appreciate the heads up. We just looked on Twitter. He's moved on. Is the comment
that
that I'm
sounds
seeing?
about right.
Is he's moved on, aka
Yeah, that's what Holden just
y'all move
texted
on
me,
too.
so
Yeah, that's what they're saying. Is he has moved
that's
on.
good for me.
Yeah, so be done with it is what he's trying to say. In his mind, there was nothing to be seen here. Thankful for the powers that got us to a really good place quickly. He's a lighthearted guy. He's past this, focused and serious where he needs to be. I think he recognizes, all the right things. Obviously, NCAA rules, things of that nature. But he's moved on quickly.
Yeah, and honestly, in my opinion, if I'm heading the NCAA, and I think Simone's the same way, and Brian, you sound like the same way, this is much ado about nothing. It's like, hey, we have bigger fish to fry in the world of college athletics. Let's just move on.
But
here.
they didn't fry those up there in Ann Arbor either. So
I know that's very true.
Yeah, that's the thing is the scale on what seems to be an egregious penalty or egregious violation is just all over the place.
Yeah.
Kansas basketball kind of, I thought, got off pretty easy with their thing, and then Michigan just gets slammed with this deal. So you never know.
And slammed, I would say, I do want to say this, slammed in some ways, but it's not like they pulled this championship. Right. It's not, and not to mention, and speaking of Oklahoma, Sharon Moore is going to be able to coach in the game at Oklahoma in week 2, which I'm sure has something to do with the people that have the TV deal of that saying, hey, you ain't taking this storyline from us because we want eyes.
Yeah, especially since he's a former Sooner.
Yeah.
Coming back to where he played in college. So that's another thing. Okay, they give him an additional game, but it's not till next year. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
absolutely.
But yeah, after all this, let's play football, for crying out loud. I want to get on with it,
Right, Brian, I'm right there with you. As we do spin this forward, is this something that is actually kind of can be a good thing for Coach Venables, to where he gets these guys and says, hey, look, what I tell you, when you walk out of this building, everything is monitored. Here, nothing happened and it's good, but almost serving as, we don't isolate this to just Venmo. Whatever you put out there is going to be searched and almost like a good thing in a way where it's a coachable moment in a way that you don't have to manufacture.
True. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember this, but it was about 20 years ago. OU had a big scandal with players working at a car dealership and they weren't really working. And that led to Rhett Bomar leaving Oklahoma. Sooners had to move Paul Thompson, who had been a quarterback but had moved to receiver because Bomar, as a star recruit, came in. They had to move Paul Thompson back to quarterback for one season. That was Sam Bradford's true freshman year. He wasn't necessarily ready, although given how his redshirt freshman year went, maybe he would have been ready. But So that was a big scandal back then, and it was about this time of year. It was right before the season started, and Stoops had to call a news conference and cool everybody down about that. So I think you're right. Yeah, it's not a big thing that Mateer did, but a lesson for everybody about what they need to be doing here as the season's getting started.
Absolutely. I agree with your statement 90 seconds ago. Hey, let's just talk football now. So let's actually talk football about the Sooners in these first couple of weeks of fall camp. What have been the things that have stood out so far? Some of the things that the coaches are saying, some of the things that you guys, as you're watching practice, see develop as the season draws closer?
I think it is hard to predict what's going to happen with this Oklahoma team. You can be really optimistic and look at OU as winning maybe 9 or 10 games, and you can look at it pessimistically. And if things don't go right and there's injuries, they could have a losing season, and anywhere in between. But what I've seen so far, first of all, I'm really impressed with John Mateer, not only with what he does on the field, but he seems like a level-headed kid, all this other stuff aside. And he's fit in really nicely, I think, with the other players. Everybody seems to really like him. That's a big plus. So I think Oklahoma, at least before we've played any games yet, Oklahoma has made a major upgrade at the quarterback position. And then from the Sooner perspective, they got to have people stay healthy. They were just devastated at the wide receiver position last year as far as injuries. They got to be healthy there, healthy running back. And it seems like they have competitive depth for the first time in a while. And Brent Venables talks over and over to us about having a program that's about development and having competition amongst the guys for positions and starting spots. And I think they really have that at a lot of positions this year. There's absolute superstars on either side of the ball, but I think there's a lot of talent. He's recruited really well the last few years, and now these guys are getting a little bit older and ready to play and ready to step up, and some guys who were backups last year ready to step into starting roles. I think that could benefit Oklahoma this season.
Yeah, Brian, I feel just looking at the schedule, the one thing that could benefit Oklahoma early in the season is that they kind of go back and forth a little bit when it comes to like what should be a historically known as maybe a learning opportunity and then a big opponent, like a week of hay, make adjustments, and then a big opponent. So we're looking at Illinois State and then Michigan, Temple, and then Auburn, Kent State, and then Texas. How do you think maybe that scheduling just kind of shake out there in the beginning? Again, no disrespect to Temple, Kent State, and Illinois State, but does that maybe provide the Sooners an opportunity to make an adjustment, come out there, week one, see what things look like, make their adjustments going into Michigan, and then, then you got Temple to fix things, and before you get into SEC play.
Yeah, I totally agree. And looking at it, I mean, they could be 5-0 headed to the Cotton Bowl. Michigan's going to be big. It'll be just the second time these two teams have ever played. The only other time was the '76 Orange Bowl. Sharon Moore is a former Sooner coming back, so that's just going to be fun. Just seeing the two uniforms lining up is going to be fun for that one. And then Temple, you expect OU to win easily, but it's on the road. It'll be the first time some of the younger players have played a road game. I think that'll be healthy for them. And then Auburn's going to be interesting because Jackson Arnold comes back to OU. So two of the early season games at home have people coming back who used to play there. And that is going to, talk about the pressure on Jackson Arnold. That's going to be tough for him to deal with. And OU fans are going to be ready to let him have it, I'm sure.
Absolutely. You read my brain to a T, Brian. That's exactly what I was going to ask you.
Garrett had a smile on his face for 30 seconds waiting to ask a question.
I wanted to ask you, because you've covered so many games in that building. I don't know how many former players of such prestige have come back, but anytime a quarterback is back, I think that there's a certain level of hostility that just comes up.
Oh, yeah.
And I know it will be there a couple of weeks before, as you mentioned, as Coach Moore comes to town. But what do you anticipate there when Auburn rolls into Norman?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some time that a former OU player, of course, these days there's so much, all the transferring, we're kind of in a new era, but I can't think of any time that a big-time former OU player had come back. Now, a couple of years ago, Trace Ford, who had played at Oklahoma State and transferred to OU, the last Bedlam game a couple of years ago was in Stillwater. So he had to go back to Stillwater in an OU uniform, and OSU fans were letting him have it. So it hasn't really happened in Norman. But I don't think OU fans dislike Jackson Arnold, but he was highly touted coming in, and he just didn't deliver, to be blunt about it. And so I don't think they hold anything against him. He just wasn't at the level that an Oklahoma quarterback should be in the minds of Sooner fans. But when you look at recent history with Heisman trophies and runner-up to Heisman's, OU's had a pretty good run of quarterbacks, and Jackson Arnold just didn't deliver. Dylan Gabriel even finished high in the Heisman vote. But that's going to be a lot of pressure on him because he lost his starting job last year in the middle of the season, ended up getting it back. Had his moments, but also had some tough times as well. And that's going to be a lot of pressure on him. And I just saw today on social media that Hugh Freeze, I guess yesterday at practice, Jackson didn't have a good practice. And so I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and you bring up, sorry about that, but you bring up a key word, it's pressure. And I think that Auburn and Oklahoma are in very interesting situations as it relates to their head coaches. Because I think Coach Venables and Coach Freeze are both in kind of, you need to win now, maybe or else, ... And, and I feel like that game being so early in the season can be a true measuring stick to where those seasons go. Specifically to Coach Venables, what's the temperature over there about maybe just how hot the seat is, if it's not hot at all, and just how much he needs to win early there in Norman to be able to save his job?
That's a good question, and it's hard to answer that one clearly at this point for a lot of reasons. One, it's just the second year in the SEC for Oklahoma, and they kind of had a rough year last year. Oklahoma's going to be in the process of changing athletic directors too. Joe Castiglione's going to retire once they find a new one, which everyone's guessing is going to be at some point during this academic year. So that'll be interesting because you're going to have a new AD who has to make a decision if Venables is in that gray zone about do you keep him or do you not keep him. He's got to make a decision there. It's hard to put a number on what he needs to win. If he has a losing season, I can't, that's going to be hard to foresee that he'll keep his job. If you get to 7 wins, then it gets a little fuzzy. But if they win 8 or 9, I think he's going to stay, and they're headed in the right direction. Like I said, they have recruited very well, and the defense has gotten progressively better, even I think at a faster rate than I thought that they would. And the offense, I think, almost has to be better than it was last year. They were historically bad last year on offense. Their offense was worse than some of the John Blake years in the 90s, which I couldn't believe when I was looking at the numbers. Like, wow, this is worse than those years. And the defense is getting better and better, and that's Brent's bread and butter.
I was gonna say,
so I think the future's pretty bright there. The problem is they're in the toughest conference in America, and there's no easy games there.
Yeah, no question about that. I do think that if there's a time where I guess, administrators are maybe the most forgiving that they've ever been. It's now. I think this was just the second time in a decade plus that all SEC head coaches were returning from, back from the year before. This is obviously a what have you done for me lately, not only game, but also league. I mean, we don't see, if you're not doing well in the SEC, you don't get, there's not a lot of grace given, but I do think that, wow, we're seeing, crazy things. I mean, Jackson Arnold's going to play against Oklahoma when they get in an Auburn jersey this year. I mean, this is a crazy time, wild times. Brian, we really, really appreciate your input. This is really great stuff. Appreciate that that really quick update that you gave from Venables today on John Mateer. Seems as though they're kind of saying, hey, we're going to move this over here. We're all moving on. Everyone else move on. Good stuff, man. And we will definitely catch up with you guys as we get ready for week 1, because it is upon us, and you're going into year 36, 35 over there, man. Hold it down. One of the goats of Next Star. I love it.
Well, looking forward to talking to you guys throughout the year, and even once we get past football. I do Oklahoma women's basketball, so looking forward to another good season for the Sooners in that sport, too.
I love it. Nothing better than women's hoops, man. I love it. Brian Brinkley, appreciate your time. Sports director there at OKC. Appreciate you. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, Brian Brinkley, he and Holden all doing a really, really good job. Appreciate that, man. And we'll see what this all looks like as we go on.
Yeah, and we were talking during the commercial break, and typically the summertime is usually the calm time, right? It's the calm right before the storm as you go into a college football season. But us putting together this show and everything else that we do during the summertime, and then Brian, he said they had to cover the Oklahoma City Thunder, who just had the best season ever.
Yes.
Not only 82 regular season games, but a deep playoff run capped off with the NBA championship. So his summer was about an hour and a half.
Yes, I would say had is a loose term. They had to cover a team winning a world title. Had to cover this. Patrick wishes that it wasn't them that won the world title because of his
beloved
fandom
Indiana
there.
Pacers.
Don't even remind me.
Patrick,
Our-
welcome
our-
into the show.
remind
45
me.
minutes
Yeah,
in.
thank you.
Our resident Pacers fan.
Yes.
We're sorry we have to keep bringing on all of our Oklahoma City people
Can I get that in
to
my
remind
title?
you.
Yes,
Resident
Can we get
Pacers
that in your
fan?
super? Actually,
Yeah,
you're the one that
I'll
can
get
update
it in my
that. So
super.
if we can go ahead and Pacers fans, crying Pacers fan, guys, really good stuff, man. We have flown through 45 minutes on this show as we typically do, but great contribution there for Brian Brinkley. We will have plenty more ahead as Southeast Sports Plus continues. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Welcome back in Southeast Sports Plus. Patrick, Simone, Gerhard joining you. A quick recap of what we had off the top of the show. I had a chance to speak with Ian Kress there in Lansing on the NCAA penalties, punishments.
You almost have to put in an asterisk. Yeah, like
Slap on the wrist.
penalties.
Call it what you want to call it.
Punish-
Patrick, your takes on what this entails. When you see all of what this is that took place there in Ann Arbor over 3 years, 13 opponents, 56 times. The NCAA has determined that Michigan's going to owe somebody about 20 to 30 million. That's a pretty hefty fine there. But at the end of the day, they're still the national champions in 2023.
Yeah, and what I find really interesting, not the punishment, because the punishment I don't really care about, because like Ian said, nothing happens to them moving forward. What I found interesting is all the details that came out in this investigation and just how long it was. And keep in mind,
3 years.
Nick Saban's very last game was against Michigan in that Rose Bowl game in the semifinal.
Oh, yeah. And there were people already on social media, at least
Yeah.
I know it was on my timeline, which was that they got robbed. You know, you think about all the drama that went down there with Jalen Milroe and it's just, that was wild times. Wild times in college football. Patrick, your initial thoughts just when you saw the fines and the haphazard maybe penalties here from the NCAA.
Slap on the wrist is definitely a perfect way
Yeah.
to sum it up.
Yeah.
I mean, they cheated their way to a national championship.
Yeah.
That's no secret. And they took out Texas, which they were in the Big 12 at the time, but that was already when they were going to make that transition to the SEC.
Sure.
I fully believe that they were going to get their national title taken away.
Yeah.
And they had no wins vacated,
Yep.
none of that vacated, just fines and then recruiting penalties.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. I think what it does is that it says to the rest of the NCAA, the I guess the organizations out there, the institutions out there, that you can do some pretty egregious cheating. We're not talking about something that was minor. The guy stole signs 56 times over 3 years, over 13 opponents.
Yep.
Guys,
That's bad.
they're pretty much saying you can do what you want to do. We're going to hit a quick break. Coming back, we're going to talk about some Week 1 games to look forward to, including that one in Death Valley, the other Death Valley, we should call it. And Peter Burns is going to give us his thoughts on this LSU and Clemson matchup. That's coming next week. Death Valley will be a place to have your eyes in the evening as the Clemson Tigers will welcome in the LSU Tigers in a top 10 battle. Death Valley, the other one, is how I like to coin this one. Death Valley over there, Clemson's house, of course. Dabo Sweeney, the running. The khakis,
right?
The whatever else is going on with the rock. The rock. Oh, you smell what the rock's cooking? That is Week 1 game, and that a lot of folks will have their attention on that day.
I think one of the most interesting things for me is kind of twofold in this matchup, because Clemson, they have been, I wouldn't say down the last couple of years, but they've definitely underperformed as far as their projections go.
Given that they won national titles.
Correct.
No
correct.
question. Yeah.
It almost felt like what they were pre-national championship.
Yes.
And LSU has done a little bit of that same thing in the sense of openers.
Yes.
So this is a great chance for both things to be eradicated with a win for either squad.
Yeah, we will find out. We did have a chance to speak with Peter Burns of ESPN. Our friends in New Orleans had a chance to speak with the ESPN host about this opener. Let's take a listen.
Is it fair for this LSU team to have the highest expectations of the Brian Kelly era?
Absolutely. I think they're without a doubt, because if you listen to Brian Kelly's own words, he said that this is the most talented roster he's had down in Baton Rouge, and rightfully so. You know, he's had an opportunity to take over the last couple of years and figure out what LSU football was, what this program is, and what it can be. And so, you know, when you look at the way that Brian Kelly has not only recruited young talent over to LSU, which they've always done, but maybe more importantly, go into the transfer portal, that's the reason why so many people nationally and here at the SEC Network, we're talking about an LSU squad that more than likely should be a college football playoff squad.
What do you think of this LSU-Clemson matchup?
I love every part of it. It is Tigers versus Tigers. It's Death Valley versus Death Valley. It's two top 10 teams going at it. And what I like about it is it's right from the jump. And again, you get to know exactly what your team is going to be like come early September. And now, obviously, it hasn't gone well for LSU in the last 5 openers. So now you're hoping that there's a different approach that Brian Kelly and LSU brings that we didn't see against USC, that we didn't see against Florida State back in the day.
There you go, Peter Burns with ESPN SEC Network talking about the opener, of course, between LSU and Clemson. Here's some Week 1 opener, guys. One to look forward to. I can't say they're all on August 30th because they're Auburn on August 29th. Garrett, how are we looking forward to this year?
Honestly, to me, outside the Clemson LSU game, I'm going to go with the Texas-Ohio State game, obviously. Yeah. Just naturally, just from a vision standpoint. I'm really interested, though, in how Tennessee opens their season. Brand new quarterback, all the drama from last year, a little drama for this year with Boo Carter and company. We talked with Casey K and Sam Rothman about what Tennessee looks like. I'm really interested in them coming off the college football playoff.
Patrick?
Got to go with that Syracuse-Tennessee game. I mean, I got to stay true to my roots.
He is waiting to get his moment. He's waiting to get his moment to say, I told you so.
Yeah, I mean, orange v. orange.
Yeah, we're going to find out. We're going to find out. Guys, 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We will join you in just a moment with more, the latest from Michigan and plenty more on college football. That's next.
Outbound transmission?
Affirmative.
Crew ready?
Check.
Signal lock?
Check.
Downstream stations online?
Linked and locked.
Let's light this candle.
Flame on.
In 3, 2, roll show open.
In our neck of the woods, sports is tradition. Sports is passion. Sports is family. Sports is fun. Welcome to our house. This is Southeast Sports Plus Live with Simone Eli and Gerhard Mathangani.
Welcome back in Southeast Sports Plus, hour number 2. That is not a coach in the SEC. It's not a coach in the Big Ten, at least not anymore or anytime soon. The NCAA hands down the punishments for Michigan football. That includes a 10-year show cause for Jim Harbaugh, who, of course, is now long gone to the NFL with the Chargers, entering year 2 there. It was just a couple of years ago that the Michigan Wolverines were holding the national championship trophy. Then out appears the sign-stealing scandal with Connor Stallions, and now 2 years later, we're getting the NCAA punishments from that.
Yeah, and this kind of goes with what the NCAA has done in the past. Outside of, they used to come a lot more heavy-handed with the punishments as far as scholarship reductions, as far as overall time. But this is a look, kind of the details, so to speak, of the way this whole thing played out and the findings in this sign-stealing scandal. A network of people called the KGB had all of these infractions.
What is KGB?
Okay, so
I'm so confused about what that is.
So it's a nickname given to this group, but this group basically collects intel.
Intel, like counterintelligence.
Correct.
Okay, but
correct.
What does that stand for?
But it's something Russian. Please don't ask me.
It's a Russian. Oh, so it's a Russian thing.
Yes.
That's what I'm asking. So yeah.
So the KGB is the Russian version of the CIA. They collect data, and you know what? Now that you say, I'm gonna look it up because it's a Russian word. It's and I'm gonna put on my
KGB.
I'm gonna put on my best Russian
that
accent
stand
and
for?
speak from the motherland.
Oh wow! You know what? I'm gonna let you have that one on that because wow.
Kremlitz Gorosky Bonapesky
Bezopazgastasi.
Yes, but no, it's an intelligence group that's probably one of the outside of the CIA. I don't know of a better group of people that knows how to collect intel outside of Constellians. It's the CIA. It's the CIA. It's the KGB and Connor Stallions.
Here's what I can tell you for a fact. They are much more efficient and good at their job than the NCAA is because take a look at what the I guess punishments are going to be for Michigan moving forward. Of course, we have the show cause that we mentioned a minute ago, but here's what's actually going to be handed down to Michigan themselves: a 4-year probation, which means hey, you do something else, then we're gonna actually do something, maybe. That's possible. Okay. Then the financial penalties. That's probably the biggest thing. And right now in 2025, if you're going to hurt somebody, hitting them where their wallet, that's where it hurts the most.
Right.
20 to 30 million. That's not like a hey, write a check for 20 to 30 million. There's several different factors in that. 10% of this, 20% of this, 25% of this.
Correct.
But people are estimating it will be 20 to 30 million. Michigan, like Ian Kress told us in the first hour, they got a lot of donors. They got a lot of money. They got a lot of donors.
And it's not just guys that own car dealerships and whatnot. These are conglomerates. These are CEOs, hedge fund owners. These are the people who have billions of dollars.
Yes.
Where writing a $10 million check is a rounding error for these people.
Yes.
This does not affect their recruiting one bit. Because there's a recruiting probation. But what did Nick Saban say when he left the door at Alabama?
Yep.
That when he goes to a place, they don't ask about development.
No.
They say, when am I playing and how much money am I getting?
Yep.
And if Michigan is still cutting the checks, it doesn't really matter.
And here's the deal. How many of those people are losing sleep over the asterisk that they aren't even agreeing is there on this? They do not care. They are 2023 national champs.
Right.
Even if the NCAA had anything about them and said, we're going to take this title from you, people still ain't going to care. Oh, we want it. Like you can't take the memories. You can't take the fun from me. You can't. I mean, you can undo. Take a banner. Take a banner like 5
honestly,
Michigan knows all about that.
And honestly, they'll tell the NCAA, come to Ann Arbor, come to the big house and take this banner.
Yeah, come grip it out of my bloody hands. Because I promise you have to go all the way out west to get it because it's out there with tomorrow. Or to the bottom of the lake with Connor Stallions' phone.
I brought up the Tom Brady investigation with the phone thing, and ironically, Brady is a former Michigan quarterback, and.
It doesn't. And ironically, he almost threw the Lombardi in the bottom of the Gulf there in Florida too.
This is very true. Some valuable things down there in the bottom of the ocean, valuable intel and items. But to me, this is like in 2 years, if Coach Moore still does his thing and he does it right and they recruit well, and Bryce Underwood plays well, they could be hoisting a national championship. Just like now, or just like 2 years ago.
They could be doing it literally in a few months. That's how much we don't know in terms of college football. How much are people going to pan out? How much are they not? And then this is something here. Okay, Jim Harbaugh knew when he left,
right,
why he was going.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he was like, Yep, they know.
He knows.
And I'm out.
He knew.
And I'm out because the show
knew.
cause is 10 years, so
knew.
he's pretty much unhireable. Sharon Moore is in Ann Arbor. He has one of the best jobs in college football.
Yep.
2 years? He ain't worried about nothing.
No.
Connor Stallions, he's employed somewhere. He's got a job. 8 years. Listen, man, all he's got to do is just have a different hat, and just put a mustache on.
Even if he doesn't want to stay in football, Simone, he's in intelligence.
Yeah.
He's apparently a savant in getting information.
He might be working for the CIA or something, the FBI. Who knows? Maybe he's in D.C. figuring out what's going on over there. Who knows?
He's got transferable skills out there to.
He does. If you watch the Netflix series, that guy is unbelievable at Excel spreadsheets. I mean, honestly, I would love for him to come teach a course here at KRG because I could use the skill set. What I think is laughable of all that and everything that's on that graphic is that Sharon Moore is going to have a 3-game suspension of his choosing.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
And here's the thing: in week 2, they're going to Norman.
Right.
And they're going to play against Oklahoma. His alma mater. I don't know what the game is being broadcast on. I'm sure that it's out there at this point. Usually, we have those things out. I'll probably take a second to pick them up. But I'm telling you right now, these folks, whoever's airing that game, they said, y'all are not taking the number one reason why to watch this game.
Correct.
And you're not going to take that. The drama that is going to come with Sharon Moore being on the sidelines is what people care about when it comes to, being back in Oklahoma.
For sure.
The storylines
For
there.
sure.
Maybe he'll cry again.
Right. And just I forgot about the crying thing.
How? Every time I see this man, I think about him crying and cussing about Jim Harbaugh being suspended.
Well, that part is always funny to me. But Simone, I think the interesting part about that game now is that even this adds a wrinkle to that game storyline because he'll be back in Norman, and it's like, hey, he's back here in his college town with all this nonsense on him, leading this program, historic program that's coming off a championship.
He's not going to be there for week 1.
Right.
He's not going to be there for week 1.
So it'll be his coaching debut.
Yes.
That's a national TV audience on ABC. So
what is it on?
ABC, 6:30 on ABC.
ESPN, Bills and Disney said, listen, I got a lot of money already here in Disney company, but you ain't taking more. You ain't taking more of it. So, that's going to be a week 2 game. Looking forward to that. Patrick, where are we headed next, man? Are we talking about the All-America? Yeah, listen. So that's enough of that with Michigan. It is what it is. The NCAA, we're in a regular place on that. Gerhard, yesterday you mentioned that the All-America honors came out. Give us a rundown of what this looks like.
Yeah, this came out as our show was going on. I happened to see it, and for those that don't know, the Associated Press has been doing All-America teams for now 100 years. So to commemorate the 100 years they've been doing it since 1925,
that's cool. I love
they
that.
put out an all-time AP All-Americans. Now, of course, this is thousands and thousands of football players, hundreds of Hall of Famers and greats, but this is what they came up with. And so the quarterback, this is the first team members. The quarterback is Tim Tebow. So basically they're saying in the history of college football, in the last 100 years, Tim Tebow is the greatest quarterback.
And let me get this
to ever
straight.
play
This
their
is not
college
just
career.
Was this just the SEC or was this all of college football?
This is all of college football. The graphic.
You knew the graphic. You went and got the SEC. I want to make sure that we know. Okay.
Correct.
So they're saying.
Yeah.
All time.
Yes.
That Tim Tebow is the first team all-time quarterback in college football?
In college football history, yes. Do not take a single snap in the NFL, the AFL, or whatever other leagues they might have played in professionally or in high school, or their pedigree.
Bring that list back
when
up,
they were in college. This is the thing. So
is that surprising to you?
A little bit. I thought he would be either on the first team or second team, but I'm not surprised at all. I mean, honestly, outside of Archie Griffin, who won 2 Heisman trophies, he was the next guy that was close enough to win 2 Heisman trophies. He came back his senior year. Of course, he didn't win that championship. Alabama beat him when Nick Saban rolled into town there. But what he was able to do as a freshman.
Is that the crying meme?
Yes, it is the crying meme. It's the crying meme. How things stick in your brain will always make me laugh.
I'm a visual creature. I remember things that I see.
No, it's not very surprising because of what he was able to do in college. It was more so for winning than it was for stats. Because if you're doing pure stats, there are guys that are a little bit better. But just what he meant to that program, 2 national championships, of course, and almost a third. And then you have. What was surprising to me is Brock Bowers. I mentioned him yesterday.
I'm a little bit surprised by. I mean, I was going to say the same thing because that was like 10 seconds ago.
Yeah, and we knew at the time he had carved out a great career, but I did not know if
best
ever. The only other guy I was thinking of that popped into mind was Ozzie Newsome, the former Alabama tight end who played for Bear Bryant back in the day. But Brock Bowers, I mean, we knew it at the time. He's like he basically led Georgia. I mean, no disrespect to what was his name? Their quarterback, his name is slipping me now. But that team offensively, they were led by their defense, but that team offensively was led by Brock Bowers.
Who are you trying to?
The quarterback, Stetson Bennett.
Yeah.
It
His
just came
haircut
back.
was interesting.
Once again, visual creature.
Yes, there's some things that I remember. Didn't Georgia just have like 4 decent tight ends recently, or is it Brock Bowers? It was so good for so long. It's the only one I can think of.
Well, him, but also right now they have Oscar Delp.
Yeah.
That is kind of cutting
in
that
recent memory. No, is there? I thought there was another guy. I may be missing that. Maybe it was just Brock Bowers. Maybe he was just on that guy. He got them out of everything.
Everything.
I mean,
yes.
it was like it did not matter if it was down the field. Didn't matter if it was underneath. And underneath, he killed him. I mean, he just killed you underneath.
Correct.
It was ridiculous. It felt like they were going to get. I mean, he is the reason that they won the way that they did in that stretch. I mean, or one of the biggest reasons. I would say. I should say the reason, but several.
Yeah, we got a chance to talk to Julian Minenzone yesterday, and he was talking about Eli Stowers, who might be the best college tight end this year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of similarities from Stowers to Brock Bowers. Stowers is taller, but Bowers, to me, he's one of these guys that he's too fast for linebackers, and he's too big for your secondary.
Yeah.
So he's almost unguardable.
Yeah, that's true.
And so Brock Bowers obviously had a phenomenal career, and then 2 Alabama guys that I thought were really interesting. John Hanna was a no-brainer. Probably the greatest offensive lineman in the history of football.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about
Really?
college football.
Yeah.
In the history of all of football, period.
Yeah.
And he's also a New England Patriots. So it's another good thing there for him. And then,
I love it. And then Patrick, this guy over here, if the guy played for the Patriots, then he's going to get the stamp of approval. There's no question about that.
Absolutely. And then Derek Thomas, rest in peace, who passed away, played for the Kansas City Chiefs, but also played for Alabama. A phenomenal career. He was the only defensive member on the first team, which is interesting because how many defensive guys have come out of the SEC?
Fair. I'm sitting here scrolling through, if anyone wants to know what I'm doing, I'm scrolling through Georgia's, the weapons that they had in 2022, trying to figure out who it is that I'm thinking of. So who else is on the list while I do that? Because I'm determined to find the answer to this.
Yeah, so we'll take one sneak peek there at the
Lad McConkey.
McConkey,
no,
yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He played receiver, but I was just thinking another white guy who caught the ball for Georgia for really, really well there for a couple. I knew there was someone else. Okay? I'm just being honest. I knew there was someone else, and I couldn't think of his name. And I was like, who is that other guy that was really, really good for them at the time? And it's Lad McConkey.
McConkey was, yes, he was the same complexion as Brock Bowers, and he was awesome. I mean, they were great. And speaking of Lad McConkey, right now he's playing for Jim Harbaugh with the LA Chargers. Bringing it full circle, baby.
Bringing it all back. Bringing it all back.
Circle.
All right, Patrick, give us those second team guys again. Devontae Smith, man, I'm telling you. I'm not surprised there because who was the wide receiver for first team? Do you know?
The wide receiver for the first team. Let me bring that back. It was 2 no-brainers, and there was literally zero denying this. It was Randy Moss and Larry Fitzgerald.
Okay, it makes sense, absolutely. But Devontae Smith, I mean, you knew when you watched Devontae Smith play in college. We watched him play in high school.
Yeah,
you knew he was going to be special, and then he goes and it completely translated. You watched this guy do things that defied gravity.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a catch in Baton Rouge that I really thought it defied gravity when he got like the one-handed catch in the back of the end zone there at Death Valley. I mean, he did things you never saw anybody do before. The way he moved, the way he ran, it was impressive.
Yeah, and no question. And think about his career, Simone. You mentioned that one-handed catch, and that's that single. That's the single play that to me kind of helped define him. But remember, 2nd and 26, Tua throws the ball to Devontae Smith.
Yeah, and they were pups.
They
were young pups.
Yes.
And they were babies.
He
ran.
Yes.
I mean, you've seen Tua. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you've seen Tua. He has dissected that play and when he'd been looking off, the DB and everything. And once again, the way that the ball floated in the air, and we were in the end zone on the same corner. You know, NCAA's got us like in a corner around a brick wall. You can't even see what's going on there. It was ridiculous. Not to go back to the NCAA situation. And by the way, I can't believe he's been with the Eagles for like 4 years. By the way, where did that time go? What am I missing?
You teed up my point. Think of his last 5 years of being alive.
Yes.
That catch that you just mentioned, the 2nd and 26, beats Georgia for the national championship.
Dude.
Wins the national championship. 2 years later, he wins a Heisman Trophy, one of the only few receivers to win a Heisman Trophy.
Yes.
And then this past February, he wins a Super Bowl. Bro. The trifecta in a half decade of life? Yes. I mean, that's unbelievable. And now on the all AP all-time team.
And the thing about Devontae Smith that I probably love the most of anything is that he was never that guy. You got like Ocho Cinco and those guys, right? They're going to catch the ball, they're going to do something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Everyone's, in their face and doing all this trees. Devontae Smith would do things that were unlike anybody you've ever seen. And he's like, okay, I'm going to celebrate with my quarterback.
Right.
I'm going to celebrate with my linebacker.
Yeah.
He didn't talk. He just walked the walk. He didn't worry about talking. He didn't worry about doing all this stuff. He was just going to stick to what it is that he wanted to be good at, which was football and to win football games. And in 2020, which, by the way, a couple things happened in 2020. Everyone hears that and they're like, my ears are burning. Okay. Almost 1,900 yards receiving. And 117 receptions. And by the way, I think I'm not mistaken on this. They only played 10 games that year because everything was in conference.
Was the COVID year, right?
And dude did that there. I mean, and they dominated, undefeated that year.
Yep.
One of the only times I think Nick Saban was ever undefeated, maybe twice ever.
Yeah.
One of the only undefeated national champion teams ever.
Yeah.
Especially in the SEC. I mean, what they did was ridiculous, and the connection that existed between Tua Tagovailoa and Devontae Smith. Oh, and by the way, it ain't like Devontae was the only receiver on that roster.
No, that receiver room was incredibly packed. You had Henry Ruggs in there. You had Jerry Jeudy in there. You had Jalen Waddle was in that receiver
2025
room.
could never.
No.
Those guys are gone. Everybody's out. I'm going to go get mine somewhere else.
There's one football, and I'm getting it.
Yes.
It's what most of these guys say. But to your point, and no disrespect to any receivers out there, but the receiver position can be a diva position. It really, we see it everywhere.
Can be? Is.
And I think it's because you play out there. I think psychologically it's because you play out there on an island, and it's you in a corner, and it could be a very me position. Terrell Owens is in the Hall of Fame.
Do you know how much trash I would be talking if I was a wide receiver? Every time I burned past a guy, I would literally stand up, how they stand up and look down at folks and like at the ball and they drop it and stuff. That would be me every time. I'd be getting kicked out of games every time. Every single time I'd be kicked out of games. Patrick, he'd be over there, with the DB, like crying, sitting there looking up, like,
no, I got to hit him with one of these. Yeah, just go up and moss someone. Head top.
Y'all are too much. But, I mean, it's a diva position, but it's also when you just own somebody in a man-on-man, just pure speed or strength or whatever, I mean, that can get you fired up.
Yeah, no question. And then, ironically, the other receiver on the second team is Desmond Howard, who works, of course, on the College Game Day set with Nick Saban, who coached and recruited Devontae Smith, and Desmond Howard and Desmond Howard went to Michigan.
Yes.
But Howard and Devontae Smith both won the Heisman Trophy as wide receivers there. I thought it was a pretty cool connection between those two guys.
It definitely is. Who was the other guy on that list? Because whoever it was just got totally ignored.
Champ Bailey out of Georgia. Champ Bailey is unbelievable. College football player, ended up also playing in the NFL, played for the Denver Broncos for a really long time. Probably, in my opinion, one of the best corners that I remember seeing in college football. Had an NFL, I think he's in the Hall of Fame. If not, he's knocking on the door of the Hall of Fame. I know he's in the Broncos Ring of Honor. But yeah, and just an unbelievable career for him. And some of the other guys that the SEC can claim now because Texas and OU are in, even though they didn't play in the SEC.
Sure.
Quarterback Vince Young, who, of course, won the national championship. Running back Archie Griffin, who I mentioned earlier, won 2 Heisman trophies. And then as well as Leroy Selman, a defensive tackle that played at Oklahoma. Going back to the first team, you got a Michigan guy, Charles Woodson, who played DB for them. Then, of course, you have Deion Sanders in there as well. And then you have one of the guy that I skipped over a moment ago. It was Barry Sanders who played at Oklahoma State, not Oklahoma State. But Barry Sanders and Herschel Walker, to me, those 2 running backs. And to me, where was the love for Bo Jackson? That was my question.
I was going to say that. I was going to say that because we're going to talk about Bo Jackson coming up in a little bit later on this show, being honored in Auburn again, as he should. But where is Bo Jackson?
He was not one of the 4 on there. So for the 2 that were.
Did they say anything about the criteria? I'm just curious. Did they say anything about? I mean,
not very much. They were like, hey, we're honoring everybody, because I think the moment you get into that criteria, you'll get into a stats battle that is uneven across the board, because it doesn't matter when you played and how you played, where you played.
I knew that someone had to have sounded off on this, and I just searched. I said, AP All-America all-time snubbed. Just to see what articles have been put out. Yeah. The first school to, or at least it wasn't the school who wrote it, but the first school to have been, so folks say we're snubbed, Notre Dame.
Of course. Of course.
Notre Dame stays wanting to be very relevant. And Monte Teo is one of the guys that was the one that they listed on there. Yeah,
unbelievable career. And honestly,
Rocky Ishmael.
He's not all time. Incredible career, but not all time.
This is who they're saying was snubbed. Those 2.
Monte Teo I mean, I could
Quentin
see
Nelson as an offensive guard, and Aaron Taylor offensive tackle.
I could Aaron Taylor a little bit.
Should have gotten some love.
All right, so Manti Te'o, you can make an argument because the first team linebackers are Dick Butkus, Derek Thomas, and Chris Spellman, and then the second team linebackers.
I mean, Butkus, the award's kind of like named after the guy. Probably had to put him there.
Jerry Robinson, Brian Bosworth, and Lawrence Taylor out of North Carolina. Lawrence Taylor ended up being the greatest NFL player ever. You met him at the Super Bowl.
Oh, did I meet him? Yeah. I met all. Yeah, and he is. I mean, his hand. I shook his hand. And I was like, wow, this is a giant of a man. His smile was like a giant of a smile. His personality, a giant of a personality. That was we're gonna find that picture because it was that was a moment. That was a moment.
Bill Belichick, who's watched a lot of football, has repeatedly said Lawrence Taylor the best football player.
Bart Sessions says that too.
Best football player ever. I can't disagree. I think Tom Brady's up there obviously as well.
Like football player in any capacity.
In any capacity. In any capacity.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people who would argue that, and he was ahead of his time.
Yeah. I mean, he was unbelievable. And to meet him in person was very, really cool, and he was very gracious with his time at the Super Bowl. So you love to see people who are considered the complete pinnacle of sport to continue to be that way. Speaking of pinnacle of sport, we're talking about Bo Jackson here in a little bit coming up, and also we're going to hit on the Missouri Tigers. What's Eli up to next? Eli's always got something to say. Drink. Coach Drink, they call him. He's might need a couple drinks for how the season goes. So a lot of the latest on Eli Drinkwitz and Mizzou. That's after the break.
Was really looking to see if we had some separation today, and I honestly just didn't see it. They're both playing really good football right now, so we'll go into next week and keep the battle going. Held out several guys today. Nobody's holding out because contracts. It was just precautionary head coach decision.
Gotta love that. Eli Drinkwitz kind of taking a shot at the state of football, I should say, at all levels right now. A lot of drama with holdouts, as we know, and what's going down in college football Sunday.
And it's interesting because he was in a quarterback battle, and those two thoughts into his head at back-to-back times. Is that a subtle shot at Tennessee in their quarterback situation with Nico going across the way? It's like, hey, we had to hold a couple guys out, but nobody for contracts, and they've had some issues there in Knoxville.
As a professional crap talker myself, Eli does a nice job.
Yeah, he does.
But here's the thing: you got to back it up too. And listen, things are on the rise. I mean, if you're Missouri, you like where you're at, and this is a guy who I will say has made Missouri relevant for content simply because of his personality.
No question. And I think that he's one of these guys that he understands that he is not at a perennial program. He's not at Oklahoma. He's not at Texas. He's not at Bama or LSU. They have to do some more cutting-edge kind of things. And I think that programs like theirs, programs like Ole Miss, programs like South Carolina, good, strong programs, but they need that little extra boost. He gives it to them because he gives them personality.
Yes.
And I feel like those programs, like Lane Kiffin does for Ole Miss, like Shane Beamer does at South Carolina, they just need a little extra edge to win those smaller recruiting battles and do things like that. And so he's in a really interesting situation. But as you mentioned, they're very competitive last year, and they expect to be again this year.
Yeah, no question. And they kind of have the ongoing quarterback battle, like you mentioned, or like he mentioned, I should say. And some folks are saying that, a little bit of competition isn't going to hurt nobody. You do want to have your answer of who it's going to be. But, Garrett, what is kind of the latest on what we just know about Missouri in totality going into 25?
Well, I think they're coming off a lot of strong momentum from last season, but there are a lot of changes. They had Luther Burden, a wide receiver who was unbelievable, ended up going in the NFL, one of the most talented players. And I think that from last year, winning those last few games, they beat Mississippi State, then they beat Arkansas, knocked off Iowa in the Music City Bowl. So when you win like that towards the end of your year, it really kind of reinforces your message going into the next year. But they don't have Brady Cook anymore. They don't have that quarterback, and so that's the reason why Coach Drink and company are looking for guys. You might remember this guy from SEC media days, Zion Young, who had that crazy quote that a lot of people were quoting about, do you want to date a tiger? If you were a tiger, would you want to date a cat or whatever?
That was amazing, yes.
They have a lot of personality there. I think that they take after Coach Drink. It's just as far as being loose. But as far as the football on the field, Sam Horn, Bo Pribula, the guy that transferred in.
It's funny you say his name, because this is the next thing I was popping up. I literally, if you look at my computer, I was trying to figure out what is this guy's name, and then two, my other thought was, where did he go to school last year?
Well, he was at Penn State.
That's what I'm saying. I just knew he had to have been somewhere else.
Yes,
Patrick, maybe you can join us for some insight on Bo
Pribula.
Yeah. What do you know about Bo Pribula?
So I thought he was going to win the starting job over Drew Aller at Penn State last year because if anyone watched Drew Aller in Penn State in 2023, he didn't look like the guy for the future of Penn State. And then last year he really progressed into what I believe is going to be a top pick in this year's draft. But no, I like Bo switching to the SEC. He was a highly sought after guy coming in the transfer portal. I believe he was the number 1 or number 2 at the time in the winter portal.
Sure,
I thought he would. I knew he was going to go to an SEC team, but I really like Eli being able to pick up Bo because I believe he saw some action in that Big Ten championship game. I think Drew Aller got hurt a little bit there. But in the limited action, 5 touchdowns in like random bits of action here and there last season.
And he had been at Penn State, so he wasn't like he had been there. So this guy's a redshirt junior, it appears, but he had been at Penn State. That was his hometown or home state as well. He's from York, Pennsylvania. Where's
That's
that
right down the road. I mean, it's southern
give us some. This is why we love Patrick. Because Patrick can
here
provide us some context outside of the SEC. But Brandon,
so we got Pennsylvania is basically like a big square. I mean, it's not an exact or a big rectangle, I should say.
Okay, big rectangle.
Penn State is like kind of right in the middle, and then York is just south and east. I believe it's an hour 15, hour and a half. I'm going to need you to check me on that one.
I'm searching.
All right.
Okay. York to where?
York to State College.
To State College. Okay, let's double check
literally,
this here.
Literally right down the road.
It's saying it takes about 2.5.
Oh, okay. Then I don't know my geography.
That's just his driving.
He's got a left foot.
He's heavy on that.
Hey, I learned to drive from my mom, not my dad. So let me tell you.
No, if Jerry's driving, he's going to take about 5.
But going back to this quarterback competition, out of all the quarterback competitions, I feel like this is the most real one.
Yeah.
You know, it felt in Tuscaloosa that Ty Simpson had won the job, and it was like, can these other guys do it? It feels like in Tennessee, and we'll still find out there, it feels like it's Joey Aguilar's job, and the other guys.
It's Joey Aguilar's job.
Right.
There's no.
But this feels real. This feels like, hey, Bo, just because you came in from 2-hour store east of York, Pennsylvania doesn't mean you're going to walk it to Missouri and win the starting job here.
We heard from Eli a minute ago. Let's pull that up, Patrick. I know that he gave some insight about fall camp, about kind of the state of what's going on there with the Mizzou Tigers. Take a listen.
Consistency in decision making and consistency of scoring drives. There was just too many lulls in the middle by both of them, I felt like. We just got to clean that up at the execution end. Neither one of them were very effective in the backed up situation, which could occur. So we got to clean that up, hopefully with the way that we prepare. But at the end of the day, man, the SEC's rigor is that it's week in, week out. And, every week you're going against somebody that's getting drafted. And that's not the case in other leagues. You might play a one first-round draft pick in an 8-week span. We're playing a first-round draft pick at each position, and that's a different type of ball game for coaches and players.
A first-round draft pick at what position?
He's saying at every position. That's the reason why
he's playing a first-round draft pick at every position.
At every position throughout the course of the season in the SEC. That's what he's saying. He's like, I got to get my quarterbacks and my team ready to go up and play.
I'm sorry. I heard the back end of
Yes,
that. I thought he was saying that he was playing
Oh,
a first-round draft pick at every position.
No, he's.
I was like,
yeah.
that man, he drink a little something that I don't even know about drink. Coach, drink something.
Now, of course, I would say the first-round picks come in the fourth game of the year because they play Central Arkansas and Kansas and Louisiana to open up the year.
I don't know. Maybe there's some guys in there.
I don't know. Maybe some NFL guys. I don't know about first rounders.
I love that, though.
But they'll play South Carolina, and then they'll play Alabama, Auburn, Texas A&M, Oklahoma. So, they will be playing a lot of guys that will be going first round there of the NFL draft. But
that's so. I'm just gonna say that's kind of cliche. That's kind of like, of course you are. You're playing in the SEC.
Right.
Of course you're
right.
playing like first-round draft picks every single. I mean, that's not like some profound. I truly thought he was saying that he was like rolling first-round draft picks out himself. And I'm going, okay, man. I'm looking forward to seeing them at the Senior Bowl.
No, he's not saying that. Luther Burden was a great pick, and I think Missouri puts their fair share in there. But no, you're right. It kind of every team in the SEC, every coach. To your point, every coach can say that.
Yeah.
We got to prepare for a first-round draft pick to play against a first-round draft pick every week in SEC play.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard Nick Saban say that for 17 years.
Yeah, because he's creating them.
So he did play a first-round draft pick at every position, literally in Tuscaloosa. He picked. Speaking of a first-round draft pick, and the first pick in 1986 was the one and only Bo Jackson, the Bessemer, Alabama native, of course, graduated from McAdory High School, and then went on to have an unbelievable, is actually not even a good way to put it, but a career at Auburn that is one for a lifetime, for the ages, you name it, one of literally the greatest athletes of all time, G.
I think if you were to rank, I'm talking about athletes across the board. I am talking about from Michael Phelps to Usain Bolt, the greatest athletes to ever grace this planet. I'm putting Bo Jackson on there.
You should.
Because had this guy focused on either sport, and his body failed him a little bit because he had the hip injuries.
Yeah.
To me, honestly, he could have done anything at the highest level. He already played baseball at the highest level. Played football, as we know, won the Heisman Trophy, played in the NFL, first-round pick, as you mentioned, at the highest level as well. To me, if he would have focused on track, he'd have been the greatest track star out there. If track running or track jumping.
Yes.
His athletic accomplishments were unbelievable, but what he's meant to Auburn has been even more special. And to hear him talk about his recruitment and that was about the same time as Bear Bryant, it's really special. And to see and to see now he's being ironed.
He kind of did something that, I mean, was, I don't know, if you're there was a time, and of course it's gone back and forth. It's something that, I mean, the Iron Bowl history is obviously, well documented, but the history of the Iron Bowl recruitment, the battles for in-state guys, is also well documented. Yeah. And Bo Jackson went to Auburn, and everybody in America wanted this guy.
Yeah, and there's a great story that he tells that he was on the phone, I guess, at one time with Bear Bryant, and then there were people who were like, Bear Bryant's voice came out of this phone, and it was just
a giant in the sport.
Showed you the gods that these people were, not just the coaches, but the players as well.
Yeah.
And from a legendary standpoint, now people talk about Bo Jackson almost like in a fairy tale lore.
Like mystical, yeah.
Just what he was able to do from an athletic standpoint, and it almost stinks because he had a great Iron Bowl moment, Bo over the top, and just these moments that are indelible to Auburn fans. And it just kind of stinks that his career didn't pan out on the professional level as much as it probably should have, whether he focused on football or on baseball because of his injuries. But he's done so much to give back to the state of Alabama.
A lot.
So the fact that they're going to welcome him back there and honor him at the Iron Bowl seems really fitting.
Yeah, let's just take a look at the release that came out from the Plains today. It'll be commemorating the 40th anniversary of Bo Jackson winning the Heisman Trophy, and so very, very cool there. Of course, that was in '85, and if you look at just what he's done, the tale of the tape, so to speak, unbelievable. 1786, so 1,700 yards, second best single season performance in SEC history. Rushed for 17 touchdowns that year as well. But in 4 years, 4,300 yards, 45 all-purpose yards, 4,500 all-purpose yards, 43 rushing touchdowns. Of course, his jersey was retired. They built a statue of him there on the Plains as well, outside of Jordan-Hare Stadium. I'm shocked that he doesn't have a namesake for the part of the stadium at this point.
Right.
Maybe they should. 8 Major League Baseball seasons with the Royals, the White Sox, the California Angels, and was of course the All-Star Game Most Valuable Player. I mean,
yes.
And then the American League Comeback Player of the Year. I mean, what? It's insane. That's not. And then of course the NFL stats: 2,700 yards, 16 touchdowns, and as we know, everything was cut short there in '91 with the injury and devastating. But I feel like in times that we've heard from Bo, and he doesn't speak very often. I think he started to actually speak more. There was a time where he really didn't at all, and now he does more. I know his cycling campaign that he did for a while. We spoke to Bo Bikes Bama.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But I think he's starting to get out more, plays golf, things of that nature, and so. It's great to see him kind of out and about. And it seems like he is at peace with what kind of the trajectory of what things took place.
For sure. I think just naturally, just from his overall nature growing up, as you said, in Bessemer, he's just a quiet guy.
Yeah.
But God blessed him with this unbelievable talent.
Yeah.
And he used it really well. Played baseball, played football. I think it's a trivia question, I believe he's still the only player to be drafted in the first round of both the Major League Baseball draft and the NFL draft.
I want to say that's accurate.
Yes, because I know they've been people who've been drafted to both, like Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, but first round in both. I think he's the only one. I know at the time he was the only one, and up until I think Kyler Murray, I have to go check on Kyler Murray. But no, you're right. So for him to use his power and his influence as a guy, as we said, naturally maybe a little bit shyer than normal, for him to use that and use his platform to, as you mentioned, Bo Bikes Bama. I think the beginning of that was to help the tornado victims from some devastating tornadoes that happened in the state of Alabama. For him to use his platform and his voice to be able to come back and help out people in the state of Alabama, to me, it's just I think it's such a good thing for Auburn to do to celebrate him at the Iron Bowl, which to me it's almost crazy that the 40 years ago.
I know. Well, quite frankly, that was the biggest thing to me.
Yeah.
40 years. We old.
Crazy. I know. I know.
That's accurate. All right, guys, the great stuff here on Southeast Sports Plus. Plenty more to come ahead. Looking forward to getting on with the second hour. It flies by as it always does. We will have the latest around the conference. That's coming next. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Southeast Sports Plus, closing out week 2, believe it or not. This has been a 20 hours of content. We're in our 20th hour of content.
We are in our 20th hour of content.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of hours, a lot of man hours. 100 times that much has gone into getting to 20 hours of content, but we've arrived. We have arrived.
And we can't thank Next Star Nation enough. These first 2 weeks have just been knocked it out of the park from all of our friends, and it's just been a phenomenal. It's just that the moment just clicked of where we stand right now going into the week. But yes, to me, we're talking about the SEC, but we obviously led the show with Michigan, not an SEC program, but obviously they're the talk of college football right now. Another team that's been the talk of college football that's not in the SEC has been North Carolina. Of course, they hire one of the greatest coaches of all time, Bill Belichick. But Bill Belichick won 6 rings and spent 40 years in the NFL.
Yes.
So his whole dealing with college guys has been best friends with Nick Saban.
Yes.
And getting guys for the draft out of college football. He's now coaching college football. He's got some really familiar faces on his staff, though.
Yes.
One of the guys is Freddie Kitchens.
Yes.
Played in the SEC for a long time. Played at Alabama. Threw for almost 5,000 yards as a college quarterback. Then coached with guys like Nick Saban and others, and so and now he's leading that charge over there in North Carolina. It's a really interesting transition.
Yeah, he's the offensive coordinator, of course. Was on the staff there for a minute too, so he's been there in North Carolina for a second. And I will say, I pulled up his Wikipedia page because I said to myself, he's been to a lot of places. He's been to a lot of places in a lot of different levels of football.
Right.
And then I pulled up his Wikipedia page and I realized he's been to a lot.
Yes.
A lot of
Yeah.
places.
Yeah.
Like I was
Yes.
scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. I was like, okay, usually we're looking at just a handful, and there's a lot. But this is a guy who, like you said, has coached in the SEC, has played in the SEC, of course, was the quarterback there at Alabama. I'm not gonna hate on I'm not hating on the guy, okay? Because when I Googled this, I'm not the only one that has thought this. He don't look like a quarterback.
He doesn't,
okay?
no.
He doesn't have the quarterback build. There's guys who you're like, oh yeah, you definitely quarterback. Oh yeah, you definitely played. No, offensive linemen typically when they quit playing, they don't look like offensive linemen anymore.
Right.
And I look Freddie Kitchens, and I'm like, there is no way. There ain't no way. Because I was not around at the SEC land back when our guy played in the SEC. So let me just tell you this: his nickname was Thick. He was
Kitchens.
Thick Kitchens.
And it kind of
and
helps.
here's the deal. Quite frankly, Bruce Arians gave him that, and
Yeah.
so I feel like I can say that he was a little thick.
And Bruce Arians was a little thick as well. So I mean,
He
I feel
is
like he can get the license for it. But Bruce Arians was either the quarterback's coach or the offensive coordinator at Alabama when Freddie was there. So there's been that connection. I think Bruce kind of helped open the door to a lot of the NFL guys, and that's the reason why he was in college.
Do you have memories? I mean, you grew up in Alabama, so
Yeah.
I'm not an Alabama native. Okay,
Right,
so
right.
I didn't follow the Crimson Tide back in '93 to '97. The guy threw for nearly 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. What memories do you have of his playing days?
It actually goes back to high school because I remember being a kid, and we lived in the Birmingham area, and where he played high school was covered by the Birmingham area stations. So the high school football shows would have Etowah games. He played at Etowah High School, and it was him.
The Blue
and,
Devils.
the Blue Devils.
Yes,
You're right. Yeah,
it,
you're very familiar. But those teams were absolutely loaded. So I just remember hearing about him in high school and watching all those shows when I was young, and then going to college. Him going to college, and then me watching it now as an older guy playing football myself. At the time, I was in high school when he was in college there, and so I got a chance to see him from a different point of view and really watch his game as a football player, trying to emulate what the college guys did.
And one thing I'm going to say, and again, like forgive me for maybe not knowing better, he would never played in the league. He was not drafted. So this is a guy who had like an impressive. I mean, that's an impressive career.
Yeah.
But they realized that Thick Kitchens was not going to pan out to the next level. Or he knew that. I mean, someone knew that.
Thick Kitchens understood that he had the game
I will say that forever.
to coach the NFL, but not play in the NFL. But when I got into this business, he ran a camp back at his old stomping grounds, and I worked over there. So every year I would see him running his kids' camp, his youth camp every year. So he was always really good and it was really awesome. But yeah, it's interesting because since you opened this door, I'm going to walk through it.
Please do.
So there was a time in Freddie Kitchens, Thick Kitchens, playing.
I need to find him a nickname like something for that.
There was a guy named Rohan Davey who played at LSU, played for Nick Saban at LSU. There was another guy named Jared Lorenzen, played at Kentucky. These were all thicker guys, just bigger guys. They didn't look like John Elway, put it that way. They didn't look like Peyton Manning. They
fit the mold.
Ate a couple of extra plates of pasta.
You know what? I ain't gonna judge them.
But they could just throw the ball from here to the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yes.
And those guys lit it up there. So there was a period of time you missed it, Simone.
Man.
They've now put all quarterbacks at 6'5",
Yeah.
220 pounds.
Naturally, I mean.
But no, back in the day, you could be 240, 250, real
What were his
thick.
specs? What were his specs?
I would think Freddie might have played it by 2.
All I know is this. I just want everyone to know that I typed in thick kitchens on Google, and that does not correlate. Thick kitchens does not correlate with Google. And there's a bunch of countertops that popped up. Thick kitchen countertops.
AI is not taking you. It's taking you literally. It's taking you literally.
Google, play a part of my content here, my guy. Like, what is going on? What is going on, Patrick? Thick kitchens. You got a good nickname like that, man. You could have played quarterback. I mean, not because you have more quarterback build than the old time quarterback build. Is what I'm trying to say, not kindly.
Thick kitchens. No, I definitely didn't have any names like that.
What was your nickname?
Playoff P.
Playoff
P.
Playoff P.
Yeah,
I'd have Playoff P, P Patty, Patty Dub.
Patty Dub.
Patty Dub. I like Patty Dub.
What was your nickname?
I think everybody said G. Or G Money.
G Money.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
you came up
created
with G Money.
G Money.
You came up with G Money.
Everyone else said G because they
G.
couldn't know how to say your name.
Right. Yeah.
So
Everybody
they were
said-
just like, the first or last name.
I get Gearhart all the time. I get Gerard. I get a little bit of
A lot of
everything.
people think that there's a T at the end of your name. Gearhart.
If you were to transcribe something from Adobe,
Oh, no. But yeah.
Adobe Premiere Pro, the Adobe Suite needs to understand that there's two different Gearharts.
Yeah.
So when you're doing it, there is a T version, which I know is popular in
Gerhard.
Germany, which the name originates.
Also with our news director, who calls you that regularly.
Yeah, and so does Adobe Premiere. But the lesser known one is no T. It just ends with a D. So
Oh, I thought you
most
said lesser known
because
nickname.
that-
I was waiting to hear a lesser known nickname.
No. For the most part, it's just been G.
Yeah. I'm just me. I'm just Simone.
Just Simone.
I was Deuce for a little while. Double Deuce and Deuce. I wore two and top 22, but no, nothing on my name. Although
Is 22 like a lucky number?
No, I had to go to 22 because the greatest basketball player in the history of women's basketball at Bowling Green State University when I was an incoming freshman was a rising junior. And again, Mac All Player of the Year.
Yeah.
This All World wore number 2.
Wrong
and
time
I
for the
knew
two.
when I was getting recruited, I'm gonna have to find something else to wear. Because I am not gonna be wearing. I wore 2 in high school. I was like, I'm just gonna add a 2 to it because there's no way I'm getting that number. My dad, who he was my biggest fan, and my coach, he was like, "Hey, I love you, but go ahead and find out what you're gonna be in college because you're not gonna be 2 anymore."
While we're on this topic of numbers, what are your guys' thoughts on wearing the number 00?
Okay, I like 0. Okay, I have a take on this. I like 0 singular.
Yes.
I hate
I
double
agree.
0.
I
loathe
fully
double
agree.
0.
Is double 0? Is that like an NBA thing?
I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, it's
I
almost everywhere now.
I remember I'd be sitting in the student section in high school
Where is
games.
double 0? In college?
Well, you can wear it now.
You can wear it wherever.
We can wear it wherever. It's not really popular though because the 0 is so popular. The double 0 to me, it looks corny. It doesn't have a cool look to it to me. So I don't know a single
Okay, that was updated
notable
in
player.
23.
Yeah.
So that's relatively new. What I hate is that that they started allowing numbers over 5 again. Because here's my deal. That the one that screams the NBA, and they went to.
Wait, and you know why they even did that though?
Yeah, because the officials. I mean, the referees
course,
is why they did 5
yeah,
because they can do
yeah.
one hand and say that you had a personal foul on number. But you probably were like a 55. You'd be a 55er because you hardly got off the bench and they hardly played you in the post. And
Please, I was 4. Just chucking threes.
4. You know what? He was that guy sitting in the corner, no defense.
Threes.
Throw it to G, and everyone pray.
Buckets.
Can the guy get it done? Because he's not doing anything on the other end. And every 7th one would hit the rim, and every 12th would go in.
My what's the new analytics thing in basketball? My shooting percentage overall.
Yes.
I think I was I can't even make this up. You're right. I was literally a rebounder and a defender.
You know what? That's fine. I was giving you defensive hate, but I don't know. I never liked. I liked when it was. Maybe it's because I was brought up in that area that you stayed 5 and below.
No,
because
I
to
hate
me,
that.
you look so unathletic if you have a number over 5.
No,
You
nonsense.
look unathletic. No, yes you do. Unnecessary.
No.
5 and below,
No.
forever till I die.
No.
Boom.
No, I hated that because my favorite number on the planet is number 9, and 9 just looks so cool as a singular jersey.
Go be a receiver or a linebacker or something.
Well, no, I was linebacker. I'm talking about basketball.
But
I'm talking about in basketball.
See, not appropriate. You wore 9 in high school?
Yes, wore 9
You
in
were
football.
allowed to?
Yes.
No, basketball.
For basketball, no.
Yeah,
Basketball, we're
saying.
34.
That's what I'm saying. So, like,
Yeah.
you know what? And that's okay because 3-4 right here. 3-4.
But I'm talking about the number of the look aesthetically. The look aesthetically, you didn't like Kobe Bryant wearing number 8?
I don't like the NBA, so this is probably why I just despise
yeah,
everything above
yeah.
5 to begin with.
See,
Because they never took those. They never took those. They
We're
never took
unpacking
those.
something psychologically
See,
here.
Yeah, well, this is not any new information in our life for you. So, anyways, Patrick really liked the NBA up until about 3 months ago. So, or 2 months ago.
Yeah, I gotta like the number.
When were the NBA finals?
It was in June. Yeah, June.
Gosh, that feels like a long time ago
Yeah,
now.
it does.
We better go to break, so we have a couple minutes for Patrick to tell me where he's playing golf this weekend. Because all I know is he's been talking about it for 4 days,
Yes.
and I have no idea. And so I'm probably going to be jealous or mad.
Oh.
So let's go to break and let's talk about the important things.
Welcome back in here to Southeast Sports Plus. We almost had a lightning bolt take out the whole studio here.
No, we did. I think we did. I heard it's flashing in the background still.
Yeah, it took out our monitors.
A power surge.
That was really scary.
Yeah, it was.
Anyways, hoping for no lightning this weekend because I have a very big announcement to make. I am playing a very prestigious course.
Okay.
I am, after tonight, I am driving over to Jacksonville, and I'm going to be playing TPC Sawgrass on Sunday, 11:30 in the morning. I'm walking the whole thing.
Let me get this straight. You're driving tonight to Jacksonville, Florida.
Yes.
To play TPC Sawgrass.
On Sunday, yes.
That's awesome. That's
wow.
awesome.
And
is this like a birthday gift? Did you have an anniversary? I didn't know about?
Birthday, graduation, kind of just lump it in together.
Roll it all in.
Wow.
But I will be walking
Who are
the
you
course.
writing a thank you card for this?
One father.
All I know is your dad is a friend of the show, and we did not get invites to those. So I'm actually a little bit free this weekend, so just let me know. And I'm also getting a tea time. So are you playing by yourself?
I'm playing with a couple other people. I don't know who they are. My fiance, Mackenzie, she's going to be walking with me. We're walking because, in my opinion, a course like that, you have to walk.
Sure.
You can't ride in the cart. So she's going to be walking with me. She's going to be filming the whole thing, so I'll have a little.
We better get a full recap. Write
we'll
it down.
Get a full recap.
Book it.
You're going to get a full YouTube video as well.
Hey, how about you and I go play the putt-putt course up here, and we'll do our recap too at Topgolf. We'll go do the putt-putt there at Topgolf.
But,
Patrick, You talked about what's coming afterwards, but I want to know something beforehand. We're writing this down and making it official. What is your predicted score at TPC Sawgrass? We're writing this down.
I mean, if you're going to put
an honest
no mulligans, like honest, like straight
no
up.
No mulligans, honest, straight up.
Write it down, write it in blood.
If I break 90, I will be the happiest man on earth. If I break 90 and I hit the 17th green on my first tee shot.
Honestly, though.
that's the only thing I care.
Pull it up really quick. Let me see that. Like, that's
this is that
like
17th green.
Yes. That's the historic one. So what do you mark it, Gerhard? You have it marked?
It's locked in. It's locked in. Right here.
90. The big 9-0.
9-0. We're locked in.
And the coolest thing about the 17. Yeah, the big 9-0. The coolest thing about it.
We better get real-time updates. You playing on Sunday morning?
Yes, I'll give you real-time updates. The coolest thing is they give you a little memento of what you scored on the 17th. So I'll be sure to bring that on Monday.
Whoa, triple digits. Speaking of digits, we got to roll. We got 10 seconds. We got to go. And so, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. For Patrick, Gerhard, I'm Simone, and we'll see you on Monday. Triple digits.